Okay,
All right. I
we
heard
are
it.
here for round two because we did not record round one. So hello to everyone watching this replay. We are glad that you are here. We know the spring market is here. It is alive and well. Everyone's plates are full. Everyone's schedules are busy. So we're going to keep this replay very short, concise, value packed. We just got off of a live webinar with tons of great questions and insight. So we're excited to bring some of those thoughts, questions into this recording. So, really, the data point that everyone has been waiting for in the housing industry is here. It's finally flipped. For the first time since the pandemic, more households have a 6+% mortgage than a 3% rate. And so that might just look like a tiny data point on a graph, but for our industry, this is a meaningful shift. And this is what that meaningful shift means in real life. This is proof that homeowners who have felt stuck in their rate, even if that home doesn't serve them, or stuck because they don't know their options, or because low inventory has just made everything feel way too uncertain and too risky to do anything. This is the proof that it is flipping, and it's telling us something really important that our clients are beginning to kind of re-anchor. And they are thinking differently as well as actually taking action. And so this does not mean that lock-in effect is gone. It definitely is present. Sellers are still hesitant, but it's loosening. And really, what that means for you and for your business is that our roles as educators, advisors, a steady guide is more important than ever. And I think it's so funny because we talk about home buyer education so often, but I think there's a huge gap in home seller education for those first time sellers who haven't moved ever, haven't sold a home in their lifetime, or for those that have been in their home for decades and they don't remember what this transition really looks like. And so I was talking to an agent this weekend, wrote on a home 10 plus offers, 10% over list, and he just made the comment like, Rachel, it feels like 2020 again. And we all know that season well, right? We had buyers who were overwhelmed, dejected, exhausted, discouraged. Agents were writing 5, 10 plus offers before we could get buyers accepted. We were wearing every hat. We were trying to piece, life together, including being a personal therapist for our clients. And so I just was thinking to myself, like, does it feel like 2020 out there? And in some ways, yes. But I was also thinking, like, in the most important ways, no. Like, we are not the same humans or industry professionals that we were in 2020. We've lived through one of the most emotional, complex, historic markets that we'll ever experience. And because of that, we carry an experience and a wisdom that matters. Like, we've learned, we've adapted, we've grown sharper, calmer, wiser, steadier, and more strategic. There are new strategies and new mindsets in 2026 than there were in 2020. And so, really, Scott and I's goal for today was to ensure that every person live on this webinar or listening to this recording walks away with more information to serve their clients and to do it with more clarity and confidence as they're navigating buying and selling. And so we really hope that these are strategies that your clients are raving about you, that you're the best of the best. We hope that they land you more listings because you're coming to the table with solutions, not just validating their stress. And so we know that we don't need to overwhelm our clients with industry jargon or every program under the sun. We just need to offer them options and clarity to help them decide what the best route is for them based off of their goals. We want them to have this sense of like, okay, we are here together every step of the way. And so, really, Scott and I have designed today's conversation to walk through in a very simple and a very human way what financing paths that your clients can take to kind of move from this stuck mindset to feeling, okay, I feel supported. And okay, now before they know it, they are holding that sold sign in front of their next chapter home. So, the Again, this is a recording, so we will go through a few of the questions that went into the Q&A during round one. But right now, it feels like some or our buyers just don't know what their options are. They resort back to, okay, if I can't qualify to carry my current housing payment and buy that new one, here are my only options. I'll let you run with it from here.
All right. Well, that was awesome information, Rachel. And you do a really good job staying on script. I tend to get off script easily, but I do want to just comment on your one topic of what do people really what do they know? And I brought up this topic before where our neighbors across the street have been there for 30 years. They bought and sold homes in the past, but they're looking at me like, how do we do this? And they're just like, do we need to sell? Can we buy before we sell? And it's very evident to me that, hey, they're really good friends of mine. They know what I do, and it's real. They have no idea how to go through this process, so they need to ask the questions. So, we talk about the existing strategies. Hey, it's pretty simple. You're either going to sell first and then buy, or you're going to buy first and then sell. There's pros and cons that come with each of them. If you try to sell your home while you're living in it, you've got live showings while you're living in the house. You got to keep the home prepped all the time. Maybe there's pets, maybe there's kids, maybe there's both pets and kids, and busy schedules. So that really gets to be difficult. There's that whole idea of temporary housing. What does that feel like? What does that cost? Living with family, great if you can do it, but again, how long is that going to take? Or how long will that last? So pros and cons on that. Buying first and then selling, that's the part where people are like, I don't even know how I can do that. And our whole idea is to make sure that we can educate our partners, you, the agents, to let them know that there are options out there. And the best way that we can serve them and educate them is to have a conversation, learn as much about them as we can. The more that we know, current situation, how much do they owe, what their house is worth, what do we think they're going to net? Do they have assets? Are they liquid? Are they not liquid? We can do our information gathering, we can analyze it, and then we can educate our clients on that and give them options, real solid options. Um, so some of the biggest ones are if you can buy your home before you sell. The biggest hurdle that we need to come get over is, are you buying contingent or non-contingent? In a hot market, if you're writing a contingent offer, it's like you're practicing all the time. You're at practice, but you're not in a game. You're writing offers, but in a hot market, a contingent offer's highly unlikely going to get put to the bottom of the list. So we're finding solutions to remove contingencies. And as we do that, um,
Yeah, I feel like this is like a peek into our brain or like lender point of view is okay, we know someone's buying and selling. Okay, the first strategy we're going to see, can we execute this is the can they buy before they sell and recast that payment with the proceeds? And
yeah,
here's kind
I'll,
of the
I'll use,
breakdown of what that strategy looks like.
yep, I'll use an example. We had a client that came in, said, we did get under contract. How do we um, strategically complete our financing now? And we earned them as a client after having a consultation with them. But, they were trying to find a bridge loan. We were trying to do all of this analysis while they were already under contract. But bottom line is we were able to figure out that they can afford both home payments. And they were trying to find out, how do we cost effectively get enough money for a down payment? So we look at the strategies of, do you have anything you can liquidate? Are there checking, savings, investments, or the big one that people have that maybe aren't aware of? do we have money that's our money in our 401k that we can actually tap into as a loan? And if you have money there, that is the best option because there's no cost to do it. You're using your money, and then once you sell your home, you just pay it back. So
Yep.
that's option number one, is if you can qualify for both, that's the most effective and most efficient way to do that. And then once you've sold, let the dust settle. We can figure out if, hey, do I want to put more money back into my new mortgage, lower my balance, lower my payment? We can do that with the recast option.
Yeah.
So
And one question we had gotten in the chat from Brandon was, is there a negative to recasting? Are there cons to this strategy? And Scott had just shared, sometimes letting the dust settle is an okay thing of, okay, we've gotten to this home, we know our new cash flow, we know the moving expenses. Now we can really be mindful about the amount that we want to put towards the or put into the equity of this home. And then if it makes sense, you can recast that payment, which is essentially taking that new loan balance versus the initial loan balance and I'm in the industry but I can't say it. Amortize.
advertising.
Amortize off of that new balance, which equates to a lower housing payment. That's the ultimate goal with recasting. Um, but this strategy allows you to get into the home before you sell. The number one hurdle that we hit of why that first strategy doesn't work is that we run into debt to income ratio issues carrying to housing payments. So we've got high DTI. What can we do about it?
Yeah, so we have a strategy for that as well. We have a partnership with Fly Homes where after we've given them hey, we've got these clients are fully approved for financing on the purchase of their new home based on the equity of your departing home, they're willing to go in and write a backup offer on the purchase of the home that they're trying to sell. And with them doing that, we can remove your housing payment on that departing home because it's under contract. Okay. What that does is it allows you to write non-contingent offers. You can qualify for more of that home that you want to purchase for that next dream home, and you can make your offer as strong as possible. And the big thing is removing contingencies. That's a fairly simple process. They're basically just stepping in as a backup offer on the purchase of the home you're trying to sell. And it allows us to remove the payment and they qualify. So
Yep.
that is the next option that we look at. Rachel, I don't know if
Emphasis
there were any
on
questions on that.
Yeah, emphasis on backup. The goal is not for fly home. There are those companies, national and local, that will come in and just buy your home. Like that is not the ultimate goal here. The goal is, hey, we have an executed contract, which is what conventional financing needs to remove that housing payment from your ratios. You are going to you're going to transition from this home, sell it for full market value. And most times we see, right? Hey, when we're not living in the home, we can put it on show and go, when we can get pets and kiddos out and really stage this the most strategic way, we see that selling for 100% or plus that full market value. So that's the ultimate goal there. The offer that backup contract isn't going to be the top dollar, so we don't want our clients accepting that. It is really the strategy to get them non-contingent. The second hurdle that we find clients into, and sometimes it is both high debt to income ratio and hey, we have a liquidity issue as well.
Yeah, so we have a solution for that too. So it's in connection with the same company that will provide the backup offer. It's called instant equity, where we're going to use the equity of your departing home. You can pull that money out as a bridge loan and use it for down payment on the new purchase. And I'm sure everyone's heard of bridge loan. What does that look like? What does that mean? Do I have payments? What is that? How will that affect my qualifying? Well, being that you have the backup offer and you're using a bridge loan on the departing home, We don't need to use that payment in the qualifying, and you will not actually have a payment. It's a balloon loan. So once your home is sold, if you borrowed equity out of that home, it will be paid in full at the sale of that property. So you're not adding an additional payment to your current housing expense.
Yeah.
So,
I love this because, yes, again, traditionally, most clients cannot afford carrying current house, new house, and bridge loan payment. So, instant equity provides the funds for that down payment and partnering or combining that with the guaranteed backup offer, we're able to allow people to actually qualify to pull the money out of their home.
the next option that we have is utilizing just the purchase of the new home as a cash offer option. And this is an option where um, if you don't have enough equity in your departing home to use for down payment, we don't have other funds, either in gift funds or liquidating assets or pulling money from a 401k, we can qualify for the cash offer through Fly Homes. And in this scenario, it's going to give you the option to just make a cash offer. Fly Homes will finance that until you sell your home. Once the home is sold, we'll come in and do what I'll call the end financing, or we'll refinance that balloon loan with Fly Homes into a full 30-year mortgage at that point in time. So again, it's the option to either use the equity from your departing home in combination with the cash offer or just one or the other. It's just an additional option for us to consider when you're writing an offer and removing your departing home expenses or obligations.
I love it. Um, okay. Bottom line of these strategies, you don't need to be an expert. We just want to give you enough information so that when you hear these hurdles of debt to income or liquidity, or okay, how do I make a competitive offer, or I have to go or excuse me, I have to go contingent on sale, that you have some solutions that you can say, okay, well, let's at least explore XYZ and make sure you at least know what your options are so then they can decide what works best for their family and their goals and whatnot. A few of the questions that we got in the chat or the Q&A box on our live webinar were, in the guaranteed backup offer, do buyers still get to control the listing strategy, staging, etc.? Absolutely. Again, Fly Home's only involvement is submitting that backup offer so that you have that offer in hand and we can remove the housing payment. Number one question that we get to, what happens if the home doesn't sell? Scott, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, they are going into this um, with the intention of like, hey, we've got it on the market, it will sell. They're always putting an offer, that backup offer is going to be on the lower end, which they know just to protect themselves against, losing. And they don't intend to buy that home. That is not their intent at all. They don't want to buy it. If you get past the 6 months, they're probably going to say, hey, what's it look like? Maybe they'll extend it. Um, but if not, they're going to say, hey, this is the offer that we're going to pay for it. They're going to have the agent still sell the home at top dollar, and anything over and above that goes back to the seller. So they're not trying to make money on it. They're just saying, hey, we do not want to hold this for an extended time frame. So there is kind of like a 6 month window, but ultimately the agents that we partner with are good agents. We know you're going to sell that home. We're giving you 6 months. We shouldn't be in that situation, but hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Big question is, what are the costs to utilizing these programs? Is there a cost? If so, is that 3% of the purchase price? Is that 1% of the purchase price? What are we looking at in terms of bottom line?
So let's just talk a little bit about if we're just going to use the backup program, it's basically like a sliding scale depending on what is the sale price of your departing home. So it's a sliding scale. It'll be like 1,500, 2,500, 5,000, and that's going up from like below 500, above 500, 750, a million. So, so the costs are fixed, which is at least we know that you don't have a lot of like, oh, it's going to change by X amount. So once we get into that situation, we can determine, say, here's your costs. So backup program, you're going to have a fixed cost, probably 2,500. If you're using the instant equity, you're still going to have your fixed costs. If you're borrowing money, there's going to be a small origination fee on just the amount you borrow, and interest will accrue until you pay it off. So again, that's fairly simple and affordable. It's not based on the new home that you're purchasing. It's based on the amount you borrow on the bridge. It's based on the amount you're selling your departing home for.
Yeah, love it. And again, the Um, for some might look at that cost and say, hey, that doesn't align with our goals. For others, it's, hey, that's my convenience cost to write a non-contingent offer. And, even as you were talking earlier about these existing strategies, I was like, $2,500, like that's probably 1 month in Airbnb or 1 month in temporary housing, so the minimal cost to be able to write non-contingent, get that dream home, and do it in a way that is as stress-free as possible or as smooth and seamless as possible or as possible. Because I think one of the topics that got brought up on our live webinar is like just that by nature, moving is stressful. I'm pretty sure it's on the top of the list of most stressful life events behind like getting divorced or losing a loved one. Like, by nature, humans are not built for change. And so we as lenders and as agents really are walking alongside people in this transition. And um, it's not always what we do for our clients, but how we make them feel along the way. I personally come from the event planning, wedding planning world and nonprofit where it's all about creating an experience for clients, right? And so we really want to make sure, how from every detail of our client experience are we making them feel seen and heard and understood and championed every step of the way here. And for some, we are walking alongside them in milestone moments. These are days that they've dreamed of and worked really hard to get to. And for others, it's a really heavy season that they never planned for. And we need to show up and hold space and educate and guide and lift as much of that weight that they're carrying as possible. And so we hope that today's conversation has given you some tools and strategies to be able to provide confidence and peace of mind to clients or as they navigate selling and buying. So financial benefits, but also hopefully some emotional benefits that, again, after working with you, they are going to rave to their sphere and to their coworkers, friends, family that everyone needs to have the same experience that they've had transitioning to this next home, selling their home for top dollar that they got to have. And really that's real impact. And so what does this mean, this shift in the market for your business? It means that okay, people are changing mindsets, they're taking action. Are you ready to go meet them where they're at and guide them? There's a gap of education for our sellers out there. And we're hoping that these strategies give you tools that make your business even more value driven than it already is. It's another lead generator. It's something to create buzz on social or in open houses or in your sphere. Hopefully allows you to come to listing appointments more confident, to bring strategies to the table, to differentiate yourself, to land more listings, and hopefully win offers on offer number one versus offer number five. So ultimately, I hope that these tools also give you your time back in the process. And so, any final thoughts before we wrap up this recording?
I just wanted to remind them, if they are the listing agent on a home and you have buyers coming in writing contingent offers, it's fair for you to let them know that, hey, you guys have options to remove your contingency, and that's going to give you a better opportunity to win the offer.
Yeah.
So feel free to share that too. That's just, we want to make sure that you know that that is a fair comment to make. So,
Yeah, absolutely. They're the listing agent side. Hey, how can we avoid the domino effect of contingencies and give everyone peace of mind in this process? Always happy to take a second look to see if that's an option to remove contingencies. We're here to be a resource. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to chat one-on-one. We're happy to walk through specific client scenarios with you. If you're not connected with us on social media, please connect. We just started a new broadcast channel on Instagram with tips, tricks. We've always got our ear to the ground on what's working as the market shifts. So we're sharing insights there. We've got a YouTube library that you can send clients who are looking for more education. Ultimately, we are here to be a valuable partner to you in this process and as we move into the spring market here. So know that we're here in your corner. And let's go kick butt in the spring market here.